Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for holding this hearing. Thank all of you for your testimony today. We're all trying to get our arms around a very rapidly moving and developing AI universe with increasing capabilities. We recognize that these capabilities can bring benefits to Americans in areas like medical research. And we have embraced innovation, and we should continue to do so, but we should make sure we have the appropriate guardrails in place, in my view, as we do that. Millions of Americans are asking themselves what this means for their jobs and their ability to earn a living through hard work. There are questions about whether or not AI will replace humans in making critical military decisions. I think that would be a mistake. We also have AI agents, and are they going to replace individual decision-making in many areas? So lots of questions. I'm glad we're having this hearing. One area, of course, is the question of worker displacement. That's an area of concern. I've been looking at legislation and proposed it in the past before the questions of AI arose with respect to how we can deal with chronic long-term unemployment. And I worry that that could become an even more acute problem going forward. So Dr. West, if you could just speak briefly to what you see as the risks of workers in terms of job displacement. A lot of different theories and warnings, but where do you think we are right now? And would it be useful to begin now to look at how we can prevent chronic long-term unemployment that is at least in part caused by AI?
I think that's exactly right. We are already seeing indicators that workers are feeling the experience of job displacement, whether or not AI is at the root cause. AI is sort of being attributed as the underlying factor. And our social safety net is just not well set up right now to be able to kind of catch people when they experience that displacement. And so I think focusing there first, and making sure that we design our unemployment, our other healthcare, like the other elements of our social safety net that will help us contend with the potential future impacts on the workforce is an important place to start.
No, I appreciate that, and I think it's, as you say, it's not too early to really give that some serious thought. I want to turn briefly to a question that I heard Senator Warren raise in her opening statements, and Senator Ricketts just alluded to it as others have, which is the issue of our export controls on very high-end AI technologies and chips. I think we would all agree that AI can be significant in adding to military capabilities. Is there anybody who disagrees with that statement? And so I have been concerned about the loosening of export restrictions to some of our chief military adversaries, like China. There was just a New York Times story the other day that reported that the Chinese military has sought out high-end chips from NVIDIA. And President Trump has seemed eager to compromise national security to grant favors to friends and cronies. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang wants to sell more chips to China. Like any company, he wants to sell more for his shareholders, and he has been cozying up to President Trump. He gave money for Trump's ballroom project. He went to $1 million a plate dinner at Mar-a-Lago, and on and on. And sure enough, President Trump announced licenses for NVIDIA to sell chips to China, the H20 and the advanced H200 series. And again, as we've all acknowledged, these have military applications. So we need to be careful. Dr. West, what can we do, and others may want to answer as well, what can we do to prevent this continued diffusion of high-end chips and AI technologies that could come back to bite us when they're deployed by other militaries?
I think that you're right to point out that the chip problem. I think what I would add to it is in fact that there is a broader challenge faced by the sort of focus on redeploying commercial off-the-shelf AI models in national security contexts. We've seen the ways that they have tremendous amounts of security flaws and vulnerabilities. And I think it's important that we also be addressing the potential integration of those vulnerabilities into the critical infrastructures in which these systems are being deployed. I really worry about the approach of using only voluntary measures to test and validate and look for these vulnerabilities in these systems.
Appreciate it. Anybody else want to weigh in on this? Thanks.
Senator, I think it's a fantastic question. BIS, strengthening BIS. Export controls are only going to be effective if the Bureau, if the agency charged with doing that work can effectively administer those programs. And right now, I think we've seen, at least what I've heard from ITI companies, is a real challenge in BIS's ability to administer the export controls that are on the books.
Thank you.
I'm glad you raised that. Thank you.